Right now, President Obama and Governor Romney's paths set to cross again on the campaign trail today, this time in the critical background state of Ohio. Both men are trying to win toss-up states like Ohio and a key voting bloc as well, white males. As Politico reports today, quote, after decades of taking a backseat to the growing voting demographics of women, Latinos, middle class, white men are finding themselves front and center once again. Let's get a fair and balanced debate underway. We're joined by Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of NBN and a former Clinton campaign advisor. Mary Catherine Ham is editor-at-large of HotAir.com and a Fox News contributor. Mary Catherine, according to a Gallup poll last month, Mitt Romney enjoyed a 24-point advantage among white males nationally. Last week, Reuters Ipsos put it at 20%. Is he in danger of losing perhaps more of this group?
Yeah, I mean, this is part of a larger gender gap problem, the gender gap you don't hear about, which is that traditionally Democrats have had problems wooing men, just as Republicans have had issues with wooing women. And it gets worse among white voters, and then it gets even worse among white male, not college-educated voters. And so but here's the thing, where do those guys matter? They matter in Iowa, Ohio, New Hampshire, and that's why close that gap. I'm not sure that talking about almost exclusively women's issues at their convention was the way to do that for Democrats, but that's why you see, for instance, Barack Obama doing a radio interview. He doesn't do that many interviews, but he did one specifically in Iowa about replacement refs yesterday, which I thought is no doubt a way to sort of speak to that group and say, hey, I understand the things that you care about, and that is one of the things that they care about. Yeah,
and the president even sent out a tweet yesterday advocating that the refs get back to work. Simon, the white males trended toward President Obama in 2008, but they swung back hard to the Republican side in the 2010 elections. Is there any indication that they're going to go back to Obama this time?
Well, in the data in the last few weeks, I think one of the reasons you've seen the Democrats rise across the board, and particularly President Obama's numbers, is that he's winning back a bunch of those white male voters that were lost to the Democrats in 2010. I mean, if you look at his numbers now, he's very close to replicating the same coalition that he used in 2008 to get 53% of the vote. I mean, he's put that team back together, that band back together. And part of what he had to do, right, and the difference between 2010 and 2012 is that he had to appeal to those voters on economic grounds. He had to make the economic argument that his plan was better than Mitt Romney's plan and that he was going to be better for them. I think that what you've seen in the data in the piece just before we came on here, showing housing values going up 11%, people were more optimistic about the economy. They feel better about Obama's stewardship. This is the key to him getting back to the same numbers that he got in 2008, which is enough, obviously, to give him a substantial victory in the fall.
Well, and he won 41% in 2008. Right. I don't want to make it sound like he cleaned John McCain's clock. He won 41%, which was slightly better than Democrats typically do. Mary Catherine.
Yep.
And John, that's the thing about these voting blocks that tend to skew either way when it's men for Republicans, is that you only have to peel off a certain number of those voters. And the reason we're talking about this gender gap now, and the reason we generally talk about gender gaps, the reason we talked about women so intensely for a while is because Republicans turned the tide and won women in 2010. And so Democrats were concerned about that, and they spent a lot of time messaging on that. The reason we're talking about it now is because, as Mr. Rosenberg said, that they're closing that gap a little bit on the left. But a lot of these guys are still hurting really bad. Like I said, white male working class voters who have been hit hard by the economy, 55-28 for Romney in a recent study from the Public Religion Research Institute. So there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a message to say, hey, look, this is not the new normal. Do not be satisfied with spending a bunch of tax money to keep this mediocre status quo. There's a better place we can go, and Romney needs to get on that message.
Simon, in this recession, roughly half of all jobs lost have been lost by white men. So how does President Obama try to appeal to them?
Well, because I think the white men view the economy the way that most voters see it, which is they know that things were really bad when President Obama came to office, and things have gotten better. And I know that not everybody who watches this believes that, but that's the case. I mean, the voters of the United States. Well, I know, but the voters, things are getting better. They're not where we want them to be. There's nobody spiking the football here on the economy, but clearly things are not only getting better from where they were when Obama took office, but in the last few months, Optimism is way up on the economy. The economic performance of the economy, as you just heard a minute ago, is up. Things are getting better. People feel it, and particularly in those battlegrounds you were describing in Ohio, Michigan, the saving of the auto industry was a big deal, right? Ohio, 1 out of 8 jobs in Ohio is connected to the auto industry. The president stood by those workers. Mitt Romney walked away from them. It's having a particularly big impact in those Midwestern battleground states.
Well, to be clear, Romney said he favored a structured bankruptcy, which is essentially what G went through, right?
Well, no, I don't think anybody in those states believed that Mitt Romney was fighting for them during this period when he walked away from the workers. And clearly, if you look at the polling data on this issue of Obama standing by the state of Ohio, fighting for the auto industry, the unemployment rate is low. In Michigan, it's dropped 5 percentage points. This was a smart move by the president. He's being rewarded by the voters in those states.
We're going to have to leave the discussion there. Simon, I'm guessing you're one of the white males who's not voting for Mitt Romney. At any rate, Simon Rosen.